What's up? Favorite YouTuber all time, man. We gotta talk about Dwight Howard. This is next level. And it really does prove like all the different stories you hear from the inside groups of the NBA, especially when these hoes get on the podcast, the OnlyFans girls, they start talking about their experience with NBA guys. And you know what? I believe it. I believe Dwight Howard's out here doing some DL stuff. And here's why. See, what I've noticed in our over-sexualized community or like environment that we created in America is that people start to get into very freaky deaky stuff when we don't have a process and order for which we have like sexual relationships. Like sex has now become basically the linchpin for most relationships, and that's a terrible way to go about it. The relationships are supposed to start from the brain, connection to brain, and then from there, the love making is more of a aspect of like building that bond more between the brain and having children, having a family out of it. But when you kind of get rid of the brain to brain connection and you just look at the pure physical and the flesh, what you start to get is very degenerate behavior. And the problem, I don't really call it degenerate behavior because he did some down low stuff. Because, man, if you're part of the gay community, good for you. Like, I don't have any beef with the gay community. They're actually very nice people, very kind people, to actually be honest with you. Better than most straight guys. But what I noticed is these straight guys, or hypothetical straight guys, DL guys, they start to go, like, off the deep end. Instead of just being real and just coming out like, hey, look, I'm gay. I'd rather be gay than be straight. Which is, hey, that's not a problem, man. It's your life, your choices. Do what the hell you want to do. But now you start to get into funny stuff because I was listening to one podcast where a girl was talking about after the Nuggets won a championship. She said one of the players took a fancy to her, and he called her to her hotel room, and he said, all I want you to do is just to eat my booty. Eat my booty. And then she explains that he came, and then he gave her pink eye the next morning. And I'm like, wow, that's fascinating. And there was another story about, I think it was Celine Powell said that the Suns team called her in, and basically 10 guys, or Selena, whatever the hell, ran a train on her. And I'm thinking to myself, that is so bizarre. Because you would think, okay, they're NBA players. They're tall, they're rich, they're handsome, for the most part, in shape. Why can't they just get one girl, or maybe get multiple girls and just the one guy? Why does there have to be 10 guys in a room banging on one girl? Like, that's mad confusing to me. And what I kind of process is the degeneracy of like the sexual exploitation of like our current society leads you to doing more degenerate behavior. So a lot of times guys don't admit that they just want to have sex with a lady, which is not a problem. That's just an animal instinct. Like, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. Good for you. But when you lie about it, it leads down a slippery slope because it's like how far you want them to lie. And then once you start to keep lying, you put yourself in this delusional mindset where it keeps getting more degenerate to the point where you're now Dwight Howard sleeping with guys, and it comes out, and now you're trying to act like you don't know what's going on. I'm confused. Like, oh, this is crazy, man. Who's saying this? And it's like, let me tell you something, man. When there's fire or smoke, there's usually a fire. And more than likely not, Dwight Howard, which he's known for fathering kids that he doesn't necessarily take care of for the most part. I mean, like, he takes care of, but he didn't do it in a proper way, which is another interesting thing about just athletes and entertainers. It's like, despite having the riches and despite being able to actually afford to do a family oriented method in the correct standard way, which is like, hey, you meet a lady, you get married, you have kids, and then you build a family unit. They just do high level like ratchet stuff, which is like just having a bunch of babies out of wedlock, having raw sex with people that they don't really know, and then having a kid. Same thing with Drake. And like, I've been trying to study, like, why is this the case? Why does this keep occurring for? And what I've been able to process is most guys don't actually love women. They love pussy more than they love women, which is a terrible travesty because a woman is such a beautiful creature if you create the certain environment and circumstance for her to be able to succeed and prosper within your life. And what I realized with Dwight Howard is once you start down that path of just degeneracy of just having sex with everybody, you want to keep exploring further and further down the depths of degeneracy. And what people don't realize is there is no depth. It's just a black hole of abyss that once you go into this black hole of degeneracy, which is kind of like the dark horizon of a black hole. Like there's a theory is once you get to a certain level of the horizon, you can't come back out. And then you just sink deeper and deeper and deeper into the darkness. And I think that's what happened to Dwight Howard. I think Dwight Howard just kept doing degenerate behavior. Probably had a girl he was sleeping with. Probably did anal. Started getting just doing all types of wild stuff, and it got boring after a while. He's like, I wonder what happens if I fuck a man. Because you got to remember, not all human beings are of sound, logical thinking in mind. They don't all have the ability to have foresight. So a lot of times when you see human beings in fucked up predicament, it's largely because they made a choice that was probably a lie, and they kept fighting down the lie instead of just coming out with the truth and building upon the truth and building upon education and knowledge and wisdom. They just kept going deeper into the lie until they get to the point where now the internet's like, hey, yo, bro, Dwight, why are you sleeping with a dude? And was the guy wearing a wig? And why are all these rumors coming out that you're doing some DL stuff? So Dwight Howard is more of a microcosm of the larger problem that comes with just the over-sexualization of a society. And what I try to preach to guys is stop looking at the sex, man. The sex is not that important. It really isn't that important. It's a biological mechanism to make you want to go and have kids, but you have to use your brain and slowly start to be able to differentiate from your primal needs to your higher extension of thinking and logic. Because really, if you just think about your primal needs are just, I just want to have sex and eat food. That's it. That's really, if a man if he didn't have to work, all he would do is eat food and have sex. And that's what most guys do when they have a very easy and cozy life. That's why a lot of athletes, they crash out because they're playing a child's game. They stay in a child's mindset. They never actually grow up and do something of true productive value to society. They kind of just live as clowns. And when you live as a clown, you kind of end up doing clown shit, which is what we see with Dwight Howard. So largely, I look at the Dwight Howard situation, and I'm just like, I'm not surprised. And we're going to start to probably hear about a lot of NBA players coming out doing just dumb shit. Like you look at the PJ Washington situation, how he got trapped by Brittany Reiner. And you just look at this situation like, dude, everybody knew Brittany Reiner was like doing what she does. Like it was an open secret. So how were you the dumb that got trapped after like a decade of her basically explaining her exploitations? And it's because, like, one of the things they say, guys, you got to get the sex out your system. No, I actually heard a very wise man say, it doesn't get out your system, it gets in your system. And that's what happens to a lot of guys. When you enter that degenerate pathway of just having sex, just for the sake of having sex, instead of actually looking at it as like a byproduct of a beautiful relationship that you built with somebody through productive, constructive activities, you sink lower and lower into the point where now you're sleeping with dudes and trying to deny it. And once again, I'm not saying anything's wrong with being gay or homosexual or lesbian. There's nothing wrong with that. I say good for you. It's your life. Go live it. But be truthful about it. And the funny thing is, Dwight Howard would probably be more embraced if he just accepted that, like, hey, I'm gay. People be like, all right, cool. And I think largely a lot of times it's in people's heads that they think people care so much about their life choices. And to be honest with you, most people really don't care. Like, yeah, he's probably going to get some online people making fun of him and talking about him bad. But in reality, like, nobody cares. Like, even the situation, like, the only reason people care because they know that it gets to you. And, like, that's just the human nature, is that we want to inflict pain when we know that we can inflict pain on you. It's a weird natural byproduct of humanity that we like to fucking fuck with people if we know we can fuck with you. But if you're open and you accept it, like, hey, look, I'm Dwight Howard. I like fucking guys. It is what it is. You take away all the power that society has to basically shit on you and try to make fun of you. Yeah, there's going to be some dum-dums that talking, but most people will be like, well, it's not even fun. He takes the fun out of it. He takes the sting out of it because he openly makes fun about himself, and he's openly proud to be gay. And see, that's the funny thing about life, is that once you're proud and you're open and you're happy about being who you are and what you do and how you go about life, people stop fucking with you because they're just like, what's the point? Unless they're just dumb. And if you let dumb people get to you, brother, then I don't know, man. You got bigger life problems. You got self-esteem issues you got to really work and solve out. But I look at the Dwight Howard situation. I just say, like, brother, just come out the closet. Stop trying to pretend like you're not gay. Like, bro, it's very clear. Like, listen, LeBron, Chris Paul, all these other big superstars, nobody's come out the woodwork and saying that LeBron had sex with a dude. And if they did, he probably did some non-disclosure agreement to make sure they never got out. So, Dwight, that means that you were not only a bad businessman because you didn't have an NDA or you didn't make sure that all your loose ends were covered to make sure that anything that did come out, like you controlled the narrative, or like there was no proof. You just kind of did an open willy nilly, which means you're not only a closeted gay guy, which is no problem. I mean, just come out and be what you want to be, but you're also very bad at strategically thinking about how these things can harm you long term. And see, the longer he tries to deny it, the worse he's going to get, because eventually more details will come out. The gay guy will start doing it, because what happened probably was, in my hypothetical thinking, Dwight was probably paying the guy off, and the guy probably asked for more money, and Dwight's like, no, fuck that, we had a deal. He's like, well, I'm just going to come out and tell everybody. He was like, well, then go out and tell everybody. Nobody's going to believe you. And then he started telling people, and then people are like, oh, shit, the people actually do believe him. And now he's acting like a guilty person, because what a guilty person usually does is they go over the top when it comes to fucking trying to defend themselves. Because realistically in life, if you're not guilty of something, you're just like, okay. Like, I would just say, yeah, I did it. Okay, next story. Like, because really, in your conscience, if you know that you didn't do it, what does it matter if you tell people that you did? Like, Chelsea had a great saying. It's okay to tell people lies about yourself, especially if the lies make you look worse. It's actually the smart way to counteract this thing, because people will think, who the fuck would lie about themselves making it look worse? And then it confuses people, and then people kind of back off because, like, okay, this person's a crazy person. But it's reverse psychology, and that's what Dwight's not understanding, that he's clearly showing his guilt by just trying to defend and fight this for no reason, because nobody cares. Really, at the end of the day, nobody really cares. People only care because it's messing with them, and they know it's fucking irritating them. But, I mean, it's up to Dwight. So, anyway, if you want to learn more about how to fucking keep yourself out of these stupid situations, check out my YouTube. Go down the videos. I got a lot of things about how to be true to yourself, how to find truth, how to build yourself as a man, and how to properly plan your family structure and all that other stuff, so you don't end up like Dwight Howard trying to fight down low accusations on the internet against unknown anons and people who really don't give a shit. Appreciate you listening. Talk to you later.